Hey y'all, welcome back to another Monster High ranking video. Today we are once again going to be ranking all of the old Gen 1 and Gen 2 Monster High lines, only this time I'm using math. So if that doesn't make sense to you, I don't know why I chose to do this. I did a video about a week ago where I just ranked all of the Monster High lines normally, kind of just based on my feelings, but I thought this time it would be cool to do the same thing, only I want to make it difficult for myself, so I'm using math to do so. And by what I mean by that is, and what I mean by that is for this one what I did was I gave each doll a score out of 10. So like an 8 out of 10 if I think it's a pretty good doll, a 5 out of 10 if I like don't really feel much, because like 5 out of 10 to me is average. And then I would add up all of the total points to be like, say there's 7 dolls in a line, it might be however many points out of 70, and then I would use that to get a percentage score that I would place onto the American grading system to give the doll a grade. This one is going to be rough. I learned a few things during the course of this video, so I just want to put out a blanket apology like at the beginning here. I'm sorry, things are going to be bleak. That's really the best word for it. I'm not happy either with how the math works out, okay? Spoiler alert, I'm also upset. So like, please don't be mad at me for this. It's still gonna be hopefully entertaining and hopefully funny for you guys. But yeah, it's just math be mathin' in a weird way today. So hopefully you guys can still enjoy the video. If you do, if you could give it a like, that's very helpful to me. If you're new here and you enjoy your time, definitely subscribe so you can see more. And if you want to go out of your way to support me, I have got like other social media and wish lists and stuff in the description down below. Without further ado, this is gonna be a long one, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Alrighty, so just like with all of my ranking videos, I'm using Procreate, and we are doing, as I said, the American grading system, at least as I experienced it. And I did put percentages there for those of you who might not be familiar or who might just have had like a slightly different grading system. So an A+ is the best, that's 98 to 100%, an A is 90 to 97%, a B is 80 to 89%, a C is 70 to 79%, a D is 60 to 69%, and an F, a fail grade, is anything between 0 and 59%. Obviously, these are not weighted equally. It's a lot harder to get into A+ than it is to get into F, and that's gonna be a big theme for this video. So again, please don't be mad at me. But yeah, here we go. We're just gonna start off. We're starting off with Coffin Bean, I guess. Am I going backwards from the way I did it before? I can't remember, it doesn't matter. So as I said, I gave each doll a score out of 10, and I did all of that before I then did all of the math, which is really where the problem came in here, because I was thinking, as I said, 5 out of 10 is like perfectly middle of the ground, like average, like that's an average rating. It doesn't work like that with the American grading system with percentages. You guys know what I'm saying. Okay, so for the Coffin Bean, I gave Twyla a 7 out of 10, Abby a 6 out of 10, Rebecca a 7 out of 10, Frankie a 2 out of 10, Toralei a 7 out of 10, Venus an 8 out of 10. So grand total, there were 60 points possible. This line got a 37 out of 60, which means that they are at a 61.7%, which means that we are not starting off well, and they're going to go into the D tier. Again, this is going to be a sad theme, which is why I shrunk them down so tiny. It's going to be rough. It's going to be a rough one. You'll see as we keep going. Classroom, Heath, I gave a 4 out of 10. Same thing with Abby. I gave Gulia a 3 out of 10. Cleo, she got a very generous 6 out of 10. Frankie got a 5 out of 10. Gulia, I'm sorry, got a 1 out of 10. And then Laguna, wait, there were 2 Gulias. Okay, that's why I said her name twice. Anyway, Laguna got a 4 out of 10. So out of a possible 70 points, I gave them 27 points, which is 38.6%, which is a solid F. And it only took a couple of these for me to realize that maybe I had made a mistake in doing this. And really, I think that this just goes to show how messed up the American grading scale is. I'm gonna go off on a tangent for a second here, so sorry if you don't care about this. But it's not weighted equally, and I knew that. But I didn't realize just how terrible it was, partially because I've been out of school for a while, and partially this is not a brag at all. Like, I'm not trying to like toot my own horn here. It's just the fact of the matter is that I didn't really try that hard during school. I kind of just showed up and got good grades because I was in high school, and like I didn't care, and I was lucky enough to be able to retain information in a pretty easy way when I was younger. Less easy now. But yeah, it wasn't something that was on my radar really when I was in school. So even as an American who like went through school with this grading system, this was a bit shocking to me how easy it was to get a bad grade, how like a few bad scores would just really tank you. So like, again, I'm not saying that, like, I really don't want that to come across as me being like, wow, I was just so smart. I never had this problem. Like, I understand that I was a very, very lucky person to be able to just skate through high school that easily. This is just so baffling to me. So like, I'm probably going to rant a lot about the American school system in this video. Sorry in advance. Anyway, though, back to what we're supposed to be doing. Perfect example, okay? So for Brand Boost students, I gave Batsy an 8 out of 10, Kirsty a... Kirsty? Immediately forgetting her name. Anyway, 6 out of 10, and Icy a 6 out of 10 as well, which is a 20 out of 30, which, like, to me, 20 out of 30, like, you got 2/3 right? Like, that should be a pretty good score. Like, that's not a bad thing. I did my math wrong on this though. Okay, let me fix this. I was gonna say that seems worse than it is. It's not good. Like, it's still not good. Don't get me wrong. It's just not quite as bad as I made it out to be. I'm glad I caught that. Otherwise, I would feel really guilty. So 2 out of 3, or 20 out of 30, is 66.6%, which is still a D. Like, you get 2/3 of it right, and you still get a D? That's ludicrous. That's shameful. It's rough. It's rough out here. Boo York. Hope I did my math right on the rest of these, because, like, I'm not doing it again. I originally was going to do all of, like, the scoring and the math in the video instead of doing that ahead of time, but it would have been easily, like, a 3-hour video at that point, so I just couldn't. Astronova, I gave a 3 out of 10 for the casual looks of... Shoot, I'm going to forget. Luna, and then Mercedes, and then Elle, I gave them 7 out of 10, 5 out of 10, and 6 out of 10, respectively. Claudine got 6 out of 10, Draculaura got 5 out of 10, so did Caddy, and so did Operetta. Caddy's fancier outfit got a 7 out of 10, Nephra got an 8 out of 10, Cleo and Deuce both got straight 10 out of 10s, and then for their fancier versions, Mercedes got a 6 out of 10, Luna got a 9 out of 10, and Elle got a 7 out of 10. There's a lot of numbers. I am so sorry if you are like me and do not do well with numerical things, but I'm pretty sure I got my math right this time. I hope so. Let me do it really quick. Let me double check. I'm not going to double check all of them, but now my confidence is shaken from having the one incorrect. Okay, yes, I'm not crazy. So, out of a possible 150 points, 99 points is what I scored for Boo York, and that puts them at a 66%, which is crazy because even though I think this is objectively like a pretty good line for Monster High, that means that they go into the D tier, like they get a D, and yo, I feel so bad for students. I have a brand new sympathy. For the basic line, everyone gets a 1 out of 10 except for Gigi. She gets a 2 out of 10, which is rough. That means out of a possible 40 points, they got 5, which is 12.5%. This one I do feel deserves to be in such a low tier and get a low grade. They get an F. But yeah, just not going to be the case for all of these. Trucking right along. Also, I'm not explaining why I'm giving these dolls this score because I did talk a little bit more about my feelings on the dolls in the, like, emotional ranking that I did. And then also, I've talked about each of these dolls individually in the past. So just to, like, try to not be repetitive and also try to not have this video be unreasonably long, I just didn't want to, like, explain all of my scores. This one, I didn't even write the scores down because I would have given them all zeros, which is an easy math to do. It's 0%. Another one that I definitely feel deserves to go in the F tier. So at least there's that. Then we have art class. I gave Abby a 7 out of 10, Draculaura a 7 out of 10. I almost called her Rochelle. Rebecca an 8 out of 10, and then Skeleta, I always pronounce her name wrong, I'm so sorry. Skeleta a 7 out of 10, which means out of 40 possible points, they got 29, which is a 72.5, which is a C, which brings them up to the highest ranking that we've gotten so far. Yay for art class. They're really, like, pulling pulling their weight there. 13 Wishes. Spectra, I gave a 6 out of 10. Claudine got a 9 out of 10. Abby got a 7 out of 10, and so did Draculaura. Cleo got an 8 out of 10. Twyla got a 7 out of 10. Howleen got a 6 out of 10. So did Frankie. Gigi got a 7 out of 10. Laguna got a 2 out of 10. So many names and so many numbers. It's going to be a miracle if I get through this video without getting tongue-tied. 100 possible points, 65 out of 100 is 65%, which means that, again, a line that I don't think deserves to be in the D tier is going to go into the D tier. It's rough. This whole video is just symbolism for the American school system. I know, like, probably other school systems around the world are also unfairly weighted. I just don't have experience in that field, so, like, I can only speak to the American school system, but it's rough out here, y'all. Freaky field trip. I gave Claudine a 3 out of 10, and then I gave Toralei and Gigi both a 7 out of 10. 30 possible points, but they only scored 17, which is 56.7%, which is a fail. I'm gonna be repeating myself a lot this video, just being like, this is unreasonable, this is so bad, but, like, it really is. And Freak to Chic is the perfect line to, like, show that to me, because I love this line. I talk about this a lot on the channel. I love the Freak to Chic line. I rated it as an A+ in my emotional ranking version of this video, but we're doing the numbers. So Galliope got an 8 out of 10. I gave a 6 out of 10 to Claudine, 7 out of 10 to Frankie, 9 out of 10 to Toralei. Twyla got a 10 out of 10. Gina Fire got a 9 out of 10. And then Honey and Rochelle both got a 10 out of 10. Out of 80 possible points, they got 69. That's good. They only missed 11 points, but that brings them to an 86.3%, which means that they're going in B tier, and that hurts my little heart, because Freak to Chic does not belong in B tier. And it was also at this point, like, as I was, like, after I'd gone through and ranked, or, like, scored them all, as I was doing the math for them, that I realized there might not be anybody in the A+ tier. Keep watching to find out, but it's bad. So Fierce Rockers is next. Venus was the low scorer for this one. She got a 6 out of 10 from me. And then we have Gina Fire at a 9 out of 10, Claudine at 8 out of 10, 10 out of 10 for Miss Caddy, and then 8 out of 10 for Toralei. So out of 50 possible points, they got 41. Again, only missing 9 points, but it still equals out to an 82%, which, according to this scale, is a B. And I mean, that's good compared to a lot of what we're going to see, but it's still just so baffling to me. Sorry, I have the hiccups. Fear leading. So we have 2 out of 10 for Gulia, 3 out of 10 for Cleo, 3 out of 10 for Draculaura, and then also 3 out of 10 for each of the werecats that came in, like, the little 3-pack. So out of 60 possible points, they got 17, which is a whopping 28.3%. Into F tier they go. This is, like, such an interesting experiment of a video, but I just know someone's gonna come across this and roast me in the comments and be like, what are you doing? I'm sorry. Fantastic Fitness. 3 out of 10 for Katrine, Venus, and Laguna both got a 2 out of 10. 7 out of 30 possible points, 23.3%. F. Emoji. Everyone gets a 0 out of 10 except Claudine, who managed a 4. I guess I was feeling generous with her. I don't know, but 4 out of 40 is 10%. So it didn't really matter because they're still going into the F tier. We are just being extra brutal today. Ooh, yeah, this is another bad one. Electrified. Draculaura got a 1 out of 10. I gave Twyla a 3 out of 10. Frankie a 0 out of 10. Sylvie 2 out of 10. 0 out of 10 for... Is that Ari? I think that's Ari. I don't even know. How bad is that? Venus, 3 out of 10, 2 out of 10 for Claudine, and then 1 out of 10 for Cleo, which is 12 out of 80 possible points, which is 15%. Say it with me. F. Dead Gorgeous, 5 out of 10 for Drac. We got a whole 9 out of 10 for Abby, 7 out of 10 for Gulia, 8 out of 10 for Spectra, 7 out of 10 for Operetta, 8 out of 10 for Laguna, which is 44 out of 60, which again is a good score. Like, that's not that many points missing. And yet it's a 73.3%, which means that they go to C tier. Also, I have been having technical troubles with like my iPad refusing to record the screen as I've been doing these videos. Don't know why. I've been trying a few things to try to fix it. I'm gonna absolutely lose it if that happens this video because this is way too much effort for me to have to do manually again. I just, nope. For the dessert line, wow, I was feeling extra nice. I gave Ari and Katrine both a 1 out of 10 and a 0 to Cleo, which is 2 out of 30 points, which is 6.7%. Woo! F. Okay, dead tired. 8 out of 10 for Laguna, 6 out of 10 for Abby, 4 out of 10 for Claudine, 3 out of 10 for Frankie, 3 out of 10 for Laguna, 6 out of 10 for Rebecca, 3 out of 10 for Gulia, 2 different Draculoras, 1 got a 4 out of 10, 1 got a 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10 for Spectra, and 5 out of 10 for Cleo. I'm gonna be out of breath by the time I'm done with this video. 110 possible points. I gave them 53. That's 48.2%. Not super. F. Ah! Day to night, 5 out of 10 for Draculora, 1 out of 10 for Frankie, 6 out of 20 points is a whole 30%. F. Okay, dance class. 8 out of 10 for Rochelle, 6 out of 10 for Laguna, 5 out of 10 for Gil, 6 out of 10 for Rebecca, 6 out of 10 for Operetta. That's 31 out of 50 possible points, which is 62%, which means they avoided the F tier, and at this point, that's like an accomplishment in and of itself. D. Like, in doing the math for all these, I was just like, wow, these poor kids. Like, my brother's in his final year of college. I'm like, dang, it must be rough out there. Because, like, you miss a couple of questions on a quiz, and suddenly you're just docked a whole... It's so bad. It's so bad. Creepateria, 6 out of 10 for Cleo, 5 out of 10 for Draculora, 4 out of 10 for Howleen, 15 out of 30 is 50%, which it's gonna be an F. I don't even know if I have enough room in F for all of this. This is so brutal. Comic book, another one that I didn't even bother to put the numbers on because it's just all a big fat 0, so another 0%, so you already know that brings them to F tier, but at least they deserve it. At least they deserve it. Killer Style, 5 out of 10 for Draculora, 4 out of 10 for Frankie, 7 out of 10 for Operetta, and 6 out of 10 for Claudine, which is 22 out of 40 points, which is 55%. Which means they also get an F, and like back to back, the emoji and Killer Style do not belong in the same tier by any scope of the imagination, and yet here I am. There you go. I Heart Shoes, finally a good one. Oh my god. We have 9 out of 10 for Cleo and a 10 out of 10 for Draculora, which is 19 out of 20 points, which is a 95%, which is good. It's our first A, which is absolutely amazing. But I do also want to highlight the fact that that means that they missed 1 point and they still couldn't get into A+. And like, I know it's the nature of math. Like, if you miss 1 point on a 100-question quiz, it obviously matters a lot less than if you miss 1 point on like a 10 or 20 question quiz. But that's still so brutal to miss 1 point and not be able to get an A+. Anyway, I have to stop ranting. I have to just get through this. I Heart Faction, 7 out of 10 for Claudine, 10 out of 10 for Cleo, 7 out of 10 for Frankie, 6 out of 10 for Scara, 8 out of 10 for Wedona, 10 out of 10 for Venus, 7 out of 10 for Iris, 7 out of 10 for Wisp, and 9 out of 10 for Abby, which brings us to 71 out of 90 possible points, which is only a 78.9%, which brings them to a C. And like, in theory, in school, a C is average, but like, I don't know, at least within my school and like the culture that I grew up in, because my parents did want me to get good grades and do well, a C was like unacceptable. So that feels a little brutal, even though I know that realistically a C is like normal and fine to get, and like, I'm not here to judge you guys if y'all didn't do that well in school. Like, if you got C's in school or lower in school, clearly there's something with the grading system that's up there, first of all, but also like, you know, it's whatever. Like, the testing itself is weird because your intelligence is not directly correlated to how well you test. That's like a very particular type of intelligence. I'm completely off on a tangent here. Point being, even a C feels brutal in my mind because of like how I was raised. But for this chart, a C is really not that bad. How do you boo? Okay. 0 for Frankie, 2 out of 10 for Cleo, 5 out of 10 for Claudine, 4 out of 10 for Draculora, 6 out of 10 for the proper Laguna. This Laguna in the middle is actually one of 4 dolls that all look pretty much exactly like this, and I was too lazy to Photoshop them all in. So it's 0 out of 10, but it's times 4. 0 out of 10 for the other Frankie, 4 out of 10 for Cleo, 6 out of 10 for Ari, 1 out of 10 for another Claudine, and 0 out of 10 for another Draculaura, which, if you include all the extra dolls that I just didn't put in the picture, is a possible 140 points. They got 28, which is 20% F tier. Haunted. I had high hopes for this one, because again, I ranked this very highly in my, like, emotional one, but 7 out of 10 for Spectra, 10 out of 10 for, I'm gonna forget her name, Vandala and River, 8 out of 10 for Twyla, 9 out of 10 for Kiyomi, 8 out of 10 for Porter, 10 out of 10 for Rochelle, 6 for Claudine, and 7 for Draculaura, brings them to 75 out of 90 possible points, which is 83.3%, which is a B, and you know what? We're gonna count that as a win. Great Scary Reef. Kala got 7. I gave Toralei a 6, Frankie a 5, Claudine a 5, Posie, no, that's too many syllables. Posie? This one. A 7 out of 10. Draculaura and Laguna both got 5 out of 10. And then Perry and Pearl got 7 out of 10, which is 47 out of 80 possible points, which is 58.8%. So not good enough to avoid them having to go into F tier.
Remember when I was like, wow, I really hope I don't have any technological issues this time because it's going to be a lot of work? Because I remember.
Gorgeous accessories. I gave Honey an 8 out of 10 and Rebecca a 6 out of 10, which is 14 out of 20, 70%. At least they made it up to C. You know what? At least they made it that far. For Gloom Beach, Cleo got a 7, Claudine got an 8, Gulia got a 6, so did Draculaura, Frankie got a 4, and so did Jackson, which is a whole 35 points out of 60 possible points, which is 58.3%. Which is F tier. And it shouldn't be. But that's how the math worked out. For Gloom and Bloom, we've got a lot of 10s here, okay? We have a 10 out of 10 for Gina Fire, Katrine, and Cleo, and also Amanita, and then 7 out of 10 for Jane and Venus, which is 54 out of 60, which is just barely scraping into the A tier at 90%. Again, percentages really freaking me out here, but another one in A tier. Ghouls Getaway. So I gave Jane an 8, Persephone/Melody, I never know which one is which, a 7 along with Spectra. Gina Fire got an 8 and Elizabeth got a 9, which is 39 out of 50 possible points, which is a score of 78%. So they're popping in with a high C. High C. Funny. I'm so dumb. Ghouls Rule. I gave Cleo a 7 out of 10, Frankie a 6 out of 10, 8 out of 10s for Abby and Draculaura, and then Claudine got 10 out of 10, which is 50 possible points. They got 39. That's going to equate to 78%, so they are also going to pop down into C tier. Girls Night Out. So we've got Claudine with an 8, Gulia with a 5, Rochelle with a 6, Venus with a 5, and so is Laguna, and then sadly my girl Spectra got a 4, which is 33 out of 60, which is 55%, which means they're going all the way to the bottom. Ghouls Beast Pet. This one hurts. So, Laguna got a 6 out of 10. I gave Frankie a 4. I gave Draculaura a 3. I know that it's not fair, but I gave Cleo a 9 because she comes with a cat and I like Cleo anyway. And then I gave Claudine a 6 out of 10. Even Cleo's 9 couldn't save this. It's 28 points out of a possible 50, which is 56%, which means that I'm popping this down into F tier. Brutal, but like, that's the name of the game today. Ghoul Sports. Toralei got a 6, Spectre got a 5, and Claudine got a 6. That's 17 out of 30 possible points, which is only 56.7%. They are also going into F tier, and I am genuinely going to have to lengthen this canvas to make this work. Ghoul Spirit. So we've got 4 out of 10s almost across the board for everybody except for Slow-Mo. I did give him a 3 out of 10. That's 19 out of 40 possible points for a whole 47.5%. F. I know in the live, Not the live, but I do like premieres for my videos. And in the last premiere, one of you guys said that I would have been a mean teacher based on the emotional one. Imagine this. Oh, this is not why I don't teach. There's 1,000 reasons I don't teach. It's not something that interests me, but I would be a bad teacher. Ghoul Fair, 5 out of 10 for Scara, 4 for Howleen, 3 for Heath, and 5 for Elizabeth is 17 out of 40 possible points. 42.5%. Still an F tier. Wouldn't have even mattered if I got the numbers mixed up, because it wouldn't have changed the grading scale. Ghostly Tea Party, 6 out of 10 for Ari, 5 out of 10 for Laguna, 4 out of 10 for Claudine, which is 15 out of 30, which is 50%. Couldn't escape F tier. Get down there. Geek Shriek. Kind of ironic, because, like, the whole stereotype is the geeks are smart. 2 out of 10 for Frankie, 3 out of 10 for Gulia, 2 for Gigi, and also 2 for Howleen, and then 3s for Caddy and Abby, is 15 out of 60 possible points, which is 25%, which means that the geeks go in F. So, we're beating a stereotype. Garden Ghouls, I gave Teresa a 4 out of 10, but the other ones actually scored pretty high. I gave all of the other gals a 7 out of 10. That's 25 out of 40%, so, like, the high scores didn't even matter. Like, the 3 7 out of 10s really didn't do much. It's still 62.5%, which means they're in D tier. And, like, at least they avoided failing, but that's still pretty rough. Frights Camera Action. Cleo got an 8 out of 10. We have 10 out of 10s for Viperine and Honey. I gave, oh my goodness, Claudia, that's her name, 7, a 5 for Draculaura, 6 for Laguna, 10 out of 10 for Elizabeth, 7 out of 10 for Operetta, and I know that this looks, my handwriting's not good. That's a 5. It's a 5 out of 10 for Claudine, which is a whopping 6 out of 8, 68 out of 90, which is 75.6%, all the way up to C tier. Freaky Fusion. A lot of numbers coming at you. I am very sorry. I'm going to forget so many names. Bonita is a 9 out of 10. Save Frankie, Claudine is 0. The Laguna Fire is a 6 out of 10. The Cleo Lie is a 2 out of 10. The Save Frankie Draculaura is another 0. Avea, I always want to say Aviea, but I think that's too many syllables, is an 8 out of 10. The Frankie is a 5 out of 10. Ghoulia dressed as Draculaura is a 5 out of 10. I don't even know the name for this one. The Scara Toralei one is 5 out of 10. Claw Venus is 4 out of 10. The Robecula, is that it? Is 3 out of 10. 10 out of 10 for Cyrena. 7 out of 10 for Nathan. Oh, okay, this is Operetta dressed as Frankie is 6 out of 10, and then Frankie dressed as Claudine is 4 out of 10. So many names and numbers! Point is, that's 74 points out of 150 possible points, which is 49.3%, so they are unsurprisingly going straight to the F tier. Ghouls Alive! 3 out of 10s for Claudine and Frankie, 6 for Spectra and Rebecca, 4 for Deuce, and 5 for Toralei, is 27 out of 60 possible points, which is 45%, which is another F tier. No one is surprised at this point. Are y'all tired? Because I'm tired. And oh my god, we still got a ways to go. I gotta zoom. Okay. 2 8 out of 10s for Persephone and Meowlity, 2 8 out of 10s for Persephone and Meowlity, a 10 out of 10 for Venus, and a 9 out of 10 for Rochelle is 35 out of 40 possible points, which is an 87.5%, and I think it is absolutely criminal that the math works out to the point where that's not an A, but sadly it's a B. That's where they're going. I'm not happy about it, but here we are. Dear God, you know what, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to do it. I'm not reading off all these numbers. Like, feel free to pause the video and try to decipher my handwriting, but I'm tired. Y'all are probably tired of hearing me say numbers. Most of the numbers don't matter. The point is, they got 69 out of 140 possible points, which is 49.3%, and they failed. And you already knew that they were going to fail from the second that this thing came up here. F. For every comment that's like, this is terrible, like, you rank them so terribly, I know! I'm also berating myself. Transforming Ghouls, almost zeros across the board. I gave a 1 to Laguna. Don't know why I was feeling generous. 1 out of 40 is 2.5%. Fail. Swimsuit, shockingly and deservingly for once, 0%. Gone. F. Swim class. I'll read these because this one's pretty disappointing to me. I love swim class. I say this like fairly frequently. I think this is the best swim line for Monster High. Drac got an 8 out of 10. Claudine got 9. I gave, have I been mixing up Heath and Holt in all this video? Sorry. Holt got a 6. Laguna got an 8. Spectre got a 4. Venus got an 8. Rochelle got a 7. Gina Fire got a 5, and Frankie got a 4. So even though as a whole, I think this was a solid line, 59 out of 90 possible points is only 65.6%, which means they passed. They got a D, but it's still pretty rough. Sweet Screams. I know y'all already are going to be upset. I'm sorry. Abby got a 4, Dracula got a 6, Ghoulia got a 7, and Frankie got a 5. That's 22 out of 40 possible points, which is 55, which means Sweet Screams fails. Don't blame me, blame the math, okay? It's not my fault this time. Sweet 1600, Dracula got a 6 along with Claude. I gave a 9 out of 10 to Cupid and then 7 out of 10s to Claudine and Frankie. That's 35 out of 50 possible points, which means they got a 70, eking their way up to a whole C grade, which is, you know, pretty cool at this point. Sleepover, 2 out of 10 for Claudine, 1 out of 10 for Dracula, 0 out of 10 for Frankie, 3 out of 30 is going to be 10% fail. I don't really feel bad about that one though. Skulltimate Roller Maze. We've got a 6 for Claudine, 4 for Operetta, 2 for Ghoulia, 4 for Abby, 2 for... Wait. I don't know if I'm tired and getting tongue-tied or if I said Laguna's name already. Y'all know what I mean, though. 2 for Laguna, 1 for Frankie. 19 out of 60 possible points equates out to 31.7%, which means that they also fail. I am nearly out of room. Skull Shore. God, this one's also pretty rough. 6 out of 10 for Laguna, 5 out of 10 for Abby, 8 out of 10 for Cleo, 5 for Draculaura, and also for Ghoulia, and also for Frankie and Gil, and then 8 out of 10 for Claudine. That is 47 out of 80 possible points, which is a brutal 58.8%. I feel like I'm saying brutal a lot this video, but it's very true. They go into the fail category, and I'm sorry, it's not what I want for them, but like... What do you want me to do? Change math's rules? I don't know. Wave 4, we have a 3 out of 10 for Jackson, 9 out of 10 for Rebecca, and 10 out of 10 for Venus and also Rochelle. That's 32 out of 40 possible points, which isn't 80%, which is both criminally low and also blissfully high. Wave 3, I gave Operetta an 8 out of 10, 4 out of 10 to Claudine, and 6 out of 10 to Howleen. Nephra gets a whole 10 out of 10. Both of the Werecat twins get an 8 out of 10, and Toralei gets a 7, which means that they earned 51 out of 70%, which is 72%. No. I'm so sorry. I'm talking so much and saying so little, and it's exhausting. 51 out of 70 points is 72.9%, which is a C grade. Yikes. Wave 2, 9 out of 10 for Claudine, 4 for Frankie, 10 for Spectra and also Draculaura, 3 for Claude, 6 for Laguna, 5 for Cleo, and 10 for Abby. That's 57 points out of 80 possible, which is 71.3%, which means they're also going into the C tier. And then we have Wave 1, Draculaura gets an 8, we have 5 for Frankie, 10 for Laguna, 8 for Cleo, 6 for Deuce, 4 for Holt, 5 for Ghoulia, and 7 for Claudine. That's 53 points that I scored out of 80 possible points, which is 66.3%, which means that they get a score of D, and yes, I am also upset. I am very well aware that that is, like, unacceptable, and yet here I am. Shriek Wrecked. We have 6 out of 10s for Draculaura and Dana, 7 out of 10 for Rochelle, 5 for Katrine, Claudine, and also Gil, 4 for Goliath, and then 10 for Laguna. However, that 10, not doing a whole lot in the face of all those 5s. 48 out of 80 possible points is only 60%, barely escaping a failing grade, getting a D. This video is going to be so long. Sweet Screams, 6 out of 10 for Amanita, 7 for Nephra, 2 for Cleo, 15 out of 30 is a crisp 50%, and they have just filled up my F tier. Scarnival, 1 out of 10 for both Claude and Draculaura, 7 for Scalita, 9 out of 30 is 30%, which means that I have to get them into the F tier somehow. I really, really don't want to have to, like, edit the whole canvas, but I will. I will. Oh God, School Spirit. 0 out of 10 for the disgusting PB&J girly pops. 6 out of 10 for Frankie though. 6 out of 30 is only 20%. F. Okay, I can fit one more really, really tiny one in there. Maybe I'll just like overlap them a bit. Scaritage, 6 out of 10 for Operetta, 8 out of 10 for Skeleta. That's 14 out of 20, which is 70%. Thank goodness I don't have to worry about room in the C tier. They get to go up there. Okay, Scaris. Again, this is too many. I'm sorry. This is where I'm hitting my limit. You can pause the video. You can look at them. I just do not have it in me to try to read all these numbers out. They're getting a 73 out of 120, which is 68.8%, which means that they get to go into the D tier. And you know what? It's better than failing. Scarily Ever After, 10 out of 10 for both Dracula and Claudine, and 8 out of 10 for Frankie, which means that they get 28 out of 30 possible points, 93.3%. Still not making it to A+. Rough. But at least they got an A. That's very rare. That's very rare. Power Ghouls, 3 out of 10 for Wedona, 1 for Frankie, 2 for Claudine, 0 for Spectra, and 3 for Toralei. Is a whole 9 out of 50 points, which is 18%. Suffer, going down into the overflowing F tier. Picture Day, we've got 6 out of 10 for Cleo, 7 for Draculaura and Spectra, 8 for Alberetta, 4 for Laguna, 5 for Frankie, and 4 for Abby. That's 41 out of 70 possible points, which means they got a 58.6%, which means they're also failing. Party Ghouls, 7 out of 10 for Abby. No, sorry, 9 out of 10 for Abby, 7 for Venus, and 6 for Rochelle is 22 out of 30 possible points, which is 73.3%. I feel like I am going blind. 73 is a C though, so they get to celebrate and go up there. New Scaremester, 6 for Abby, 7 for Gina, Fire, and Gigi, 6 for Twyla, 5 for Invisibility, Claudine, 8 for Katrine. That's 44 out of 70 points, which is 62.9%, which is a D. I'm sorry, I am slowly losing it. I really thought I was going to be able to get through this and it would be like just any other video. My eyes are like tearing up. Ow. Music Fest, 5 out of 10 for Draculaura and Venus, 3 for Claude, 4 for Claudine, 5 for Abby. 22 out of 50 points is a whole 44%, which means they're going straight to F tier. Not that you can tell, but they're there. Music Class, this is brutal. 10 out of 10 for Cleo, balanced out by a 4 out of 10 for Ari, brings them to 14 out of 20 points. It's a 70%, so like it's a better score than it could be. Still kind of rough though. Monster Exchange, I gave Marisol a 7, Laguna a 4, 6 out of 10 for Draculaura, and 8 for Lorna. That's 25 out of 40 possible points, barely avoiding a score of F with 62.5%, so they get to pop into D tier. Oh my god, we're almost done. Oh, I didn't even realize. Lots of looks. 1 out of 10 for Draculaura, 0 for Frankie, 1 out of 20 is a whole 5%. I literally can't even like hit the right spot on the screen at this point. Come on. F. And then the last one, Dawn of the Dance. 7 out of 10 for Cleo, 4 out of 10 for Deuce, 10 out of 10 for my girl Laguna, and also for Claudine, 6 out of 10 for Draculaura, 4 for Frankie, and 5 for Gulia. Brings them to 46 out of 70, which is only 65%, which means that as good as a line as that was, they're going into the D tier. And that's all. That's it. I have officially brutalized the old Monster High canon. No one made it into the A+ tier. This is so bad. This is so difficult. I know I've been saying it the whole video, but I really think it just goes to show how skewed the weighting is on these things and how easy it is to fail, how unbelievably difficult it is to get an A+. I am sorry for this. I will like switch really quick between the ranking for today and then my emotional ranking so you can see the difference there. The biggest difference is that some of the ones in my emotional ranking got an A+ because I thought they were solid lines. Like, I know I was harsh in my emotional ranking of the lines. I know there were still a lot of lines in F tier. But like, this is a whole new level. I did not expect it to be this bad. Like, I knew it was going to be rough. I didn't expect it to be this bad. Hopefully it was at least entertaining. Again, I'm sorry. I feel like I have to apologize because this is a hard one to see. But yeah, guys, that's the video for today. If nothing else, this was like an interesting thing to go through, I guess. Interesting to see the way the numbers just so quickly turn against you. And also, I do think it is kind of fascinating to see the way that, like, emotions play a role in this sort of thing, like in a ranking and in your feelings on dolls. Because, like, obviously I did also rate them, and that was emotional. Like, giving a doll a 5 out of 10 versus an 8 out of 10 was an emotional decision. But, like, then the math that comes after that really felt like it negated a lot of the emotional things that I was feeling, and it was just so interesting to see how that happens. And I feel like it really shows how big a role, like, your individual preferences and, like, the feelings that a doll evokes in you play in how much you like it. So it was interesting, at least for me. I hope it was interesting for you guys. If you enjoyed my suffering today and want to make me do more math and want to see me butcher more doll lines, if you want me to do this for anyone else, let me know. It's gonna be rough, but, like, I'll do it if you want me to. But yeah, that's it for today, guys. I hope you got something out of this, some sort of sick enjoyment. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your day or your night, whatever it might be. And I will catch you guys in the next one where I am not like this. Bye, guys.